Hello, I'm David Rose, and here's a look at some of our cases this week with Crime Stoppers on Washington's Most Wanted, starting with the search for a suspect accused of burglarizing a church. Take a look at 31-year-old Scott Waterbury, wanted in Kitsap County. He's from Mason County. Deputies say he is considered a danger to the community. So this is a challenging but great opportunity for us to help this lost soul find redemption and ask for forgiveness once he atones for his crimes.
So here's where he actually entered the building.
It was early in the morning on a rainy Tuesday, May 26th, when Pastor Tim Tenbrink got an alert from his alarm system at Northwest Baptist Church in Sunny Slope, just as they were looking forward to reopening soon.
Immediately when I heard the alarm and I thought, man, we've got someone broken into our building, I thought the worst. I'm thinking there's all kinds of damage. And now that we can finally be in our building, we won't be able to meet.
When he got there, they found the phone and internet lines cut and their safe and other items stolen.
Fortunately, thanks to, I think, the Lord watching over us, there wasn't a whole lot of damage.
After deputies cleared the building, they called in a canine that quickly picked up the suspect's scent.
Surprisingly, this track went on for a very long time, more than 7 hours, and covered many, many miles. We're guessing more than 10.
Deputies found a stash of the church's stolen goods hidden near a tree line. At one point, they got close enough to recognize the suspect as Scott Waterbury, a 10-time convicted felon familiar to them, but he proved difficult to catch.
As Mr. Waterbury, first on foot, then on bicycle, and then on a stolen dirt bike, was able to evade capture.
Detectives say Waterbury has ties to North Mason and South Kitsap, and he's a suspect in other crimes as well.
This is a continuation of a pattern with Mr. Waterbury. The theft of items from personal property, personal residences, as well as commercial buildings. This is a felony crime, and we want him held accountable.
Prosecutors have charged him with burglary and issued a warrant for his arrest. He's also wanted by the Department of Corrections for escaped community custody after violating the terms of his release on a previous burglary conviction.
So it's really important that he just be caught so that he's not able to take other folks' things and break into other things, and break into other people's property.
And looking back over his long criminal history, Scott Waterbury should know by now he's not a very successful criminal. Maybe it's time to try something new. His conviction started in 2002 with theft and escalated to multiple counts of burglary between stints in prison, plus trafficking stolen property, attempting to elude police, unlawful possession of a firearm, and pending cases for obstructing law enforcement, burglary second degree, and criminal trespass. His last convictions were for stealing the cash box from a landscaping supply company in Shelton in 2017. So keep a lookout for him in Mason County. Waterbury is 5'10", 164 pounds. He's got brown hair and hazel eyes. You might have noticed by now he's got a whole bunch of tattoos. Let's help Kitsap County Sheriff's deputies catch him. And then maybe the next time he's in a church, it will be to repent. Call 1-800-222-TIPS or submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone. You will be paid a cash reward of up to $1,000 for any information that leads to his arrest. Well, on the same day that Waterbury was running from deputies, two robbery suspects sent a Subway sandwich maker running for his life. And tonight, Seattle police are hoping the surveillance video helps you identify them. It was about 2:40 a.m., again, Tuesday, May 26th, when you see the suspects walking up to the store in the 2300 block of Rainier Avenue South. Both are wearing medical masks and gloves, and one of them is carrying a pole. Well, they loitered around for a short time in the parking lot, and then they made their move. As they entered the store, he paused at the door and used the pole to prop it open. Not sure why. Maybe they thought they'd get locked inside the store. Well, the other suspect jumps right over the counter. He's wearing white shoes with black and red soles, and he's carrying a handgun.
Took it and jammed it right in the clerk's stomach and said, give us all the cash. They forced him over to the till. Till was open. You watch the video, you're going to see suspect on the other side. He takes all the cash, and then he takes the till and he just dumps everything into the bag.
Well, here is the best look we have of the gunman. The video showed him forcing the clerk into a back room, demanding to know if there's any more money.
The clerk felt like his life was in danger at this point. He thought, this guy's going to kill me. At this point, the victim feels, this is the time I've got to run for my life. And he does. He bolts through the back of the store, out the door, and just starts running.
Well, the video shows the two robbery suspects head out the front door after they cleaned out the cash register and jog in the same direction as the clerk. Well, seeing how they run might help you recognize them. These guys are dangerous. Police say they spotted the clerk, and that's when they threatened his life.
They run at the victim as he's running, yelling, "We're going to kill you, we're going to kill you." This guy's terrified. Fortunately, he got away and was able to call 911, and he called his boss.
Detectives say the victim described both suspects as black and in their 20s. The one with the gun is about 6 feet tall. The other suspect is a little shorter and heavier. But if you can identify either of them, Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound will pay you a cash reward of up to $1,000. Now it's time to tell King County Sheriff's detectives who this jackwagon is after he stole a homeowner's security camera just before 3 a.m. last Saturday, May 30th, near Auburn. He's not very bright, nor is his buddy who was with him, or they would have thought to snatch the camera before it recorded several minutes of them stealing lumber from the victim's backyard.
Two guys showed up to the side of the house. When they went, one of the suspects jumped over the fence. When he goes over, he's got a headlamp on and he's also got a flashlight. So he was out looking for things to steal. He found a bunch of lumber, it appeared, and he kind of loaded the lumber onto the other side of the fence, and his buddy was waiting on the other side of the fence to grab the lumber from him. And then once he had all the lumber collected, he gets back up on the fence, and then you can see that he notices the surveillance camera that's up there. Got a really good shot of his face, and we're hoping that somebody recognizes him. It's a 4K, it's pretty high definition, and he takes the time to then steal the camera as well. It was reported to us by the homeowner. He really wants his camera back. He really wants to find out who's responsible for stealing the property out of his backyard, and we want to get the answers to that as well. So the hope is that somebody recognizes these guys. Again, we have a really good picture of one of them. The other one, you can only see the back of his head. But once we can identify one of them, we can work on figuring out who the other suspect is.
Well, the guy with the headlamp had the smoke hanging from his mouth for the whole heist. The camera shifted to color mode a couple of times, which showed that his ball cap was red and his jacket is black. The victim lives near South 289th Place and 46th Place South, just outside of Auburn. Detectives say catching these two could solve a slew of crimes in that area of unincorporated King County.
We've had several different types of thefts like this in that area, and it's very possible that these are the two guys that have been responsible for a lot of it. So if we could figure out who they are and arrest them, then hopefully we can stop this crime spree from happening out in that area.
So if you can recognize this jackwagon stealing the lumber and his bald spot-headed buddy, submit the information to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound. You're going to get a cash reward of up to $1,000. That's a good look at his face there. Hey, smile. You're on Washington's Most Wanted. You're going to jail. Tonight, Bellevue police are another step closer to catching a couple of prolific car theft suspects, thanks to tips from you. Detectives say Washington's Most Wanted viewers identified John Guash Serrano and Guillermo Rodriguez-Alvarado, a.k.a. Tony Montana, from these surveillance images. Now, the photos were taken when police say the men were spotted with a stolen Honda Civic in the parking lot of a Hilton hotel in Bellevue. That car belonged to Rasul Diop, who says it was stolen in Seattle when he left it running for 30 seconds while picking up some food.
It was raining. It was cold. I'm sad. I'm alone. And I'm mad. And then I don't know what to do. I never feel alone like that in my life.
Well, he is so grateful to Bellevue police because fortunately, detectives found his car in Seattle and returned it to him thanks to your tips to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound. Now, police say they know where Guash Serrano is right now and they will be forwarding charges to the prosecutor on him. But they still need your help to find Guillermo. The 43-year-old was convicted in King County back in February for taking a motor vehicle without permission, and police say he has additional criminal history in other states.
Alvarado is still outstanding. So what we need from you is to not only locate where he is, but also the automobile that he is currently driving so that we can track him down, arrest him, and bring him to justice.
Yeah, Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound is going to pay you a cash reward of up to $1,000 for any information that leads to his arrest. He's likely hotel hopping, so call 911 if you see him, and then immediately submit that anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone, or call 1-800-222-TIPS. Tonight, Seattle police are hoping somebody can identify two robbery suspects. Detectives say they came into a T-Mobile store at Northgate Mall on Sunday, May 10th at about 6 p.m. As the suspect with the face mask asked for help from a clerk to distract him, the other suspect in the white T-shirt starts cutting the security cords on 3 Samsung cell phones worth $3,000. The clerk sees him and walks over to confront him.
Well, he walks over to him and he obviously notices suspect cutting the cords, and he says, "Hey, stealing these is just not worth it." At this point, the suspect with the knife took a step towards him and pointed the knife and said, "Hey, I need these."
Well, the suspect then turned and left the store. The other suspect with the cross around his neck seemed kind of befuddled. A witness said he was hard to understand, like he was drunk. Well, he walked out the door as well. Witnesses saw both of them get into a dark-colored sedan parked near a restaurant. And detectives have a message for that second suspect.
He may have thought, well, we're going to just steal these phones. He's thinking, it's a shoplift. How big a deal is that? And then all of a sudden, his buddy takes that knife and turns it into a weapon, turns it towards the clerk, and now we're talking about a felony. Trust me, if you're that second guy, now's the time to turn yourself in. If you didn't think it was going to be an armed robbery, you better come forward, because right now you are involved and you will be charged.
The cell phones were activated and sold for cash later that day, but detectives have not been able to track any of them. Now, if you can identify either of these robbery suspects, Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound will pay you a cash reward of up to $1,000. Call 1-800-222-TIPS or send the information through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone. It's anonymous. Detectives in King County's Criminal Warrants Unit are on the hunt for a homeless domestic violence offender. Take a look at Joshua Erskine. He's known to live on the streets of Federal Way, and he's wanted for violating a domestic violence offender court order that his wife had against him. Detectives say a witness heard the victim yelling for help and telling Erskine to get off of her near the ballparks in Celebration Park in Federal Way back in March.
We received a 911 call from a male who witnessed a female on the ground screaming for help. It appeared that there was a male standing over her, possibly assaulting her. Federal Way police arrived on scene quickly. When they got there, they located the female, but the male had run off prior to their arrival. What they learned is that the male, who has a valid served no contact order, where he's the respondent, meaning he's not allowed to be around the female at all, had shown up to try to talk to the female, who is his wife. And during that discussion, he ended up assaulting her, knocking her to the ground, and then standing over the top of her in an aggressive manner. She actually thought she was going to get assaulted further. Thankfully, that didn't happen because of our Good Samaritan that called 911.
Erskine has convictions for violating no contact orders and domestic violence, malicious mischief, all against his wife. He's 38 years old, 6 feet tall, weighs 170 pounds. If you spot him on the street around Federal Way or you know where to find him, submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound for a cash reward of up to $1,000. All right, that's a look at some of the cases featured this weekend on Washington's Most Wanted. Join me tonight at 11 o'clock to see all of them, Q13 Fox. And tomorrow night, Saturday night, 9:30 on Joe TV and 10:30 on Q13 Fox. And see all the cases statewide Saturday night at 10:30 on Fox stations in Spokane, Yakima, and Tri-Cities. Stay safe, stay well, and let's make sure these dirtbags have nowhere left to hide.